Hello and welcome to LinkedIn's virtual living room. Today's conversation is pivoted around how marketers can continue to demonstrate their impact in newer times. Before we proceed, let's go over some housekeeping to ensure you have a seamless experience through this webinar. Please read the instruction slide on the screen to help you should you face any technical difficulties. The 30-minute webinar will be followed by Q&A. Feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A portal at any time. At the bottom of the screen, you will see a survey. When you have a chance, please help us with your feedback on today's session. And now, I'm delighted to introduce our speakers for the day. Kelvin Lee, Global Director of Social Media at Refinitiv, which was earlier known as Thomson Reuters Financial Advisory, and rebranded as Refinitiv 2 years ago. Kelvin has lived and worked across the United States, Europe, and Asia, and is a very well-known speaker at some of the most renowned conferences and platforms across the globe. Introducing our next speaker, our very own Ashutosh Gupta, who double hats as LinkedIn Marketing Solutions Head of Online Sales Organization for APAC and China, and is also the Country Manager India for LinkedIn. At LinkedIn, we know Ashu as one of the most compassionate leaders. His deep market experience makes him highly skilled at building businesses at scale. He is passionate about driving awareness for digital strategy and is also the board member for IAB, Interactive Advertising Bureau, Southeast Asia and India. So ladies and gentlemen, grab your cup of coffee or tea and ease into an insightful and inspirational conversation. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Anushree. Thank you for the introduction. Kelvin, welcome. Very nice to have you here today.
Thank you, Ashu.
Hopefully everything is
a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Hope everything is good in Singapore, where you're joining from, and everybody is safe and healthy in your family, in your teams. So that's my good wish to you as we start this next 30 minutes chat. So in a typical LinkedIn style, we always talk about what's not on your LinkedIn profile so that the audience comes to know a little better. I'm sure they have watched or they have seen our LinkedIn profiles. So if you're okay, can you share a little bit about what's not on your LinkedIn profile, and then I'll do the same.
That's an interesting question. It doesn't start off on a positive note. The one thing that I've not put in on my LinkedIn profile is that I was actually laid off overnight 15 years ago. But it turned out to be one of the best things that happened to me, to my career and life. It was a bit of a reset, right? And of course, in these times, some may be impacted by these sort of changes. I was lucky perhaps that happened earlier on in my career. Funnily enough, a few years later, after working in one of Asia's largest telecommunications provider, I then handed in my resignation letter, booked a one-way flight to the UK without a job on a one-year working holiday visa. The idea was to stay for a year to work and to travel. I ended up staying for 10 years. It goes without saying that, with these sort of things, I've learned early that change is inevitable in life. How we adapt, how we adjust to make the best use of the opportunity, whether it's positive or negative, makes us stand out from others who perhaps complain all the time and wish things were a little bit better than before. So really a great privilege to be here, spending time with many of you today. And specifically my role here at Refinitiv means I want to give a shout out to my fantastic global team that focuses on our cross-regional strategies and decisions on everything that almost starts with social at Refinitiv. And I really look forward to sharing my experiences with you.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Kelvin. Very interesting. I think one thing which is not on my LinkedIn profile is, I'm father of twins. And I think what I learned over the last 3 months, we have been in complete lockdown here in India in isolation. I'm pretty bad at helping them study, right? So I'm learning that skill of how to help them study during these times, virtual classes or things they are interested in, right? So that's my kind of a side endeavor or main endeavor in a way. keeping them engaged, helping them with their studies. And I think the skill here is not about studying. The skill here is being patient when you have 7-year-olds and when you have twins, right? So that's definitely not reflective on my LinkedIn profile. That's a new skill which I'm building during these times. Well, once again, thank you for sharing. One thing before we jump into some of the things we're going to discuss is, what are the don'ts for today's next 30, 45 minutes? Like, my personal don't is I use a lot the word unprecedented a lot during this time. So I made a pledge to myself saying, okay, let's stay away from that word for this. Like, all social media content and the things we do have do's and don'ts. So what's your don't for next 30, 45 minutes?
There are quite a few. Recently, I read an article. It was B2B magazine in the UK, and exactly touched on that. Many of us are guilty of saying unprecedented in these challenging times, testing times. I wrote this down, right? Uncertain times, now more than ever. And some we get emails. I get them in my Gmail. We're here for you, right? And worse, we've seen companies giving a coronavirus discount as well. So I think there's this real COVID-19 fatigue, if you like. So to answer your question, I'm not going to say in these challenging times. Is that okay? Cool. I think we might be having some technical issues. Perhaps one of the areas which I've been discussing with Ashu over the last couple of days as we're preparing for this was really how, as a business, we are coping with the current scenario. So trying to avoid the unprecedented and these challenging times. But it is the new normal. It is business unusual. And so I may challenge some of you to think through how you're coping, how you're helping your teams and the business to cope with the business unusual and the new normal. On our end, maybe I would rate it as a scale of 1 to 10. I would say 9 out of 10, right? It's been, at least my team, it's never been busier at Team Refinitiv. So 9 out of 10. I take 1 point away because I wish we had time to do a little bit more. Refinitiv, as you may know, we are broadly subscription-based digital delivery business, which serves many of the world's top institutional financial firms and other capital market players. The recent volatility that you may have read in the news and social media, etc., has led to, fortunately for us, even greater position to help our customers through these times. We've seen increased greater attention towards our website, our social media platforms, engagement, and inbound queries as well via digital and social channels. I'm really lucky, if you like, to be leading a global team of social experts that thrives on being agile and impactful to our business and marketing bottom line. So hopefully we will get Ashu back as soon as possible.
Kevin, while I'm facing some technical issues, just wanted to check with you, while you're talking about your team, how are you ensuring that your people are engaged, keeping teams happy, and how are you achieving this?
Yeah, great question. Ashu and I we were really thinking about this, and some of you may be thinking, especially those that really focuses on the kind of hard metrics, the quantitative aspects that we're going to first talk about: the LinkedIn platform, the tactics, the lead conversions, the data, the technology. However, people come first. Our team, your team really comes first. We're all living through this human crisis, social crisis, lifestyle crisis, financial crisis together. It's not in one region or another, or one country or another. And some members are really feeling really stressed, distressed, vulnerable, and some, unfortunately, even ill. So beyond the hard metrics of how we think about marketing impact, such as the reach, the impressions, the lead conversions, our people matter so much. Without them, without our team doing the work that we do, none of the marketing plans, strategy, or tactics is going to happen, right? It's pretty obvious, but I just wanted to remind us. It took me a while to realize that at the beginning. And this may sound wishy-washy, but our ability to be empathetic, to be human, to be genuine to colleagues, team around us is more important today and now than ever before. I would say specifically compared to most of our careers so far. In 10 to 20 years, all of us will look back at this year called 2020, and I would like to be remembered as a team manager who tried his very best genuinely to care for the team as we are all facing challenges as we have working from home, right? Be it technical, Wi-Fi, screaming kids and babies, children, etc. So over the last couple of months, we have embarked on non-business virtual team affairs or get-togethers, fun quizzes, surprise gifts, and using other communication tools outside of email, such as LinkedIn, such as WhatsApp, to get closer to our team members, to get closer to one another as well. I think these are quick tactics to show that we're providing care and support.
I think I agree with your thing there, and you and I did chat about it. Like people is number one operating priority for LinkedIn as well. And I think we run company on principles. Like whenever we decide some principles and follow them. And I think right now the number one principle is health and well-being of our employees, then our members, and then of course taking care of our clients, right? So I think I feel like we have very similar thinking between the two companies, right? So thanks for sharing that. So the people is number one operating priority for LinkedIn, but the next is then the purpose. The purpose becomes very important, right? So LinkedIn's purpose, the vision has become more and more important. Like it was important even before such times, but now we talk a lot about our vision and how it's tied to purpose and its relevance during such times. There's a lot of economic distress out there, how the power of network can help you come out of the times and be more successful and productive. So I think I want to ask, how has your marketing goals changed to reflect the brand purpose, right? Have they changed? They have remained the same? And how do they really reflect on the brand purpose?
How has marketing goals changed? I would say same, but different. Same in areas really such as lead generation, community growth, brand awareness goals. It's really hard to go back to our CMO and say, hey, let's reduce some of these targets. We still have to deliver, no matter who is listening here. Different in how we do it and what we do and how we communicate that via our channels, the content, and really tightening up the customer experience from social to social, from social to web, social to digital, and then really thinking about that, getting better and tightening up that attribution model. Because it's an umbrella word, right? Attribution model, and hopefully later we can get into it a little bit more. So that's quite key as we think about goals and the impact to marketing impact. You mentioned brand purpose as well. That has stayed the same. The way we're doing it recently, I personally feel, has been more meaningful than ever. It's a huge part of what Refinitiv does every day. It goes without saying, we're all planning. Many economies, many companies are planning for an impending downturn or recession, which means budgets are cut. Budgets are already being planned to cut. It's not they are cut. And often advertising, marketing, comms budgets get cut first. It's a big challenge for all of us as well. So it doesn't mean relying on clearly big printed banners on buildings, large advertising displays, or just simply changing logo colors, right? As a brand, we need to work together with colleagues and our comms teams to walk the talk. So in recent months, we've doubled down on stories and action on our brand purpose and core global and regional themes such as sustainable leadership, ESG, environment, social governance agenda, using our data, the trusted wide range of data, deep data that we have as a firm to help our clients through the market volatility and complexity. One project I'd like to highlight, I'm particularly proud of, it's a recent announcement on 5th of June, because 5th of June was World Environment Day. It's called the Refinitiv Forest Project, ambitious plan to plant and conserve 1 million trees by 2030. And that's different, right? You know, typically not what a financial technology firm would do. Please Google Refinitiv Forest Project if you'd like to learn more. It should appear on the top of the feed.
Thank you. I think it's very important to stay true to the brand purpose, right? So thanks for sharing that. And I think we are definitely in the same boat. Like the purpose has become more stronger, more important, but we are staying true to it. Staying on the same, a little bit of same, theme. Let's talk about role of marketing, right? So one thing which we are seeing is that a lot of marketeers were funnel focused or more performance focused, right? So very simple question to you, like brand versus performance. How are you thinking about it? Are you seeing any shifts during such times, or it's the same mix as before?
Yeah, of course there's a shift. But I would say budgets are being optimized, so marketing teams need to optimize their operations, whatever budget's left for the rest of the year, resources, internal, external, working with agencies to support, to align the priorities for the company. And I think now more important than ever as we hit the end of Q1, in fact, H1, looking into H2, worth reaching out to your key stakeholders within your firm and ask what's really going to matter down the bottom line when the financial fiscal year ends. How can marketing teams really maybe adjust and be agile to add value? Because now is the time, really. It's now more than ever. It's our time, especially if you have direct influence or control over digital/social/virtual channels, because everybody is digital and social and virtual today, to step up. More than anything, I'd like us to consider a mindset shift, right, of continued tangible value add. And this, you've got to ask yourself, what have you delivered so far? What can you change? How can you shift the dial for the next 6 months or so? So some of you, it may be impressions, some of you may be leads, some of you may be brand awareness, some of you may be likelihood to recommend. So even today, Refinitiv continues to want to use our channels to support the brand purpose, to inform the public of who we are, what we do. We want to educate our users and customers, underpinning that, be real, be helpful, be genuine, be human, and as a social team, as a marketing team, be innovative, be creative, because this is a time to really try new stuff, new ideas. So in fact, in the business within this region, in APAC, the team recently launched what we call Workspace for Wealth campaign, offering complimentary remote access to certain client segments to support their business continuity needs, because every firm is thinking about that. But if we can get our clients to be even better performing during these tough times, to enable them for business continuity, that's going to help tremendously when things do pick up, if you like. A shift in marketing also means, as team leads, as individual contributors, a shift in prioritization. It may mean doing fewer things better, focusing on programs, campaigns that talk to both the heart and the head. Right? For many of us, budgets have been cut, but it doesn't mean we take a holiday anyway. Most of us, in fact, all of us, aren't able to take any overseas trips. So why not use the time to focus on, say, organic efforts? I've seen some recent stats that for the last couple of years, organic reach has tapered off because of the rise of pay and earn and everything. But over the last 3 to 4 months, there's a general rise in organic reach and engagement. So perhaps a time to shift a little bit of focus on organic efforts for social channels. So a few more ideas to value add during this time. You could think about helping your senior executive on his or her LinkedIn profile, help your product team create a video demo, because they have probably seen other competitors or other partners doing videos. And like, how do I get involved? Run a training session for sales colleagues on social selling, create new assets, new templates, write a blog. The list goes on. Point is, find ways to keep yourself and your company's brand visible, highly visible amongst your target network and client base, because this is our time to shine and prove the value of marketing impact.
That's well said. I think I picked up the line you said, budgets are getting optimized. I think a lot of times we think in terms of budgets being reduced, budgets being cut. I think the optimization is absolute the right way to look at it. And then I think the question is what we can do to help our senior management in such times to drive value. Late last year, we did a ROI study, and I think there was a stat which said 63% of digital marketers don't feel confident about their ROI measurement. We were just talking about the value of ROI, and then you have to continuously justify why you're spending that dollar. So can you talk about ROI measurement? How are you feeling confident about it? What are your tips to people who are listening about how to think about attribution, how to think about the ROI measurement, right? Anything you want to share there?
Yeah. When I first started on this role a couple of years ago, this was fairly blurred as well. So, but it has matured over time in the way that we set a performance framework, and that's something that every team, no matter whether you're social or digital or activation team, GTM team, needs a performance framework of why you do. Why does it matter in the end? How does it help to contribute to the figures? Because due to fairly obvious reasons, whether or not we're going to call it optimize or reduction or reprioritization, we never been more important to justify our budget ask, especially when we go into next year and spend and the spend as well. I have a fairly classical view on the role of marketing, right? To grow awareness, to increase engagement, support sales, drive leads, and support retention efforts as well. There's never been a better time in 2020 through the use of our technology, CRM, marketing automation, tied in with LinkedIn and the other tools, other platforms out there to do so. Now, the challenge is there's so many metrics. What do you measure? And I think it goes back to the marketing strategy and your team strategy. So generally, I implement this in 3 ways for my team. The hard bit, business ROI, right? These are the leads, the hand raisers. The harder bit, the channel ROI, I would say, such as engagement, community growth. Maybe some brands get it lucky, right? Like the Amazon or people want to follow these sort of pages. But for more niche, industry-specific brands, B2B brands, of course, it's not going to hit the tens of millions we would like to. So then there's a third metric, it's the hardest ROI, and that's the innovation ROI. And that means trying new approaches, launching new pages, thinking about new channels, such as live stream, influencer programs. In fact, some of you may think the hardest one is for leads and hand raisers, but I actually flipped it the other way around. We almost have a methodology to understand how much we put into a platform and how much it gives us back in terms of form fills, leads, conversions, etc. So day to day as a team, we try our best to be as relentless in terms of A, B, C, D testing, and sometimes failing quickly, scaling those campaigns that work. For example, this may be on the LinkedIn platform, formats, colors, images, videos versus images, carousel ads versus static ads. audience segmentation, getting into groups, getting into technology that these target accounts use, CTAs. We double down on these campaigns that work, reduce spend on those that don't. The platform is super flexible, and that's allowed us to do so. And over time, thanks to colleagues and team members, we've set up benchmarks that allows us to track by sub-region, region, product, segment, globally, what's the CPC, CPM, conversion rate, cost per lead, almost up to the exact science, up to the dot 57 cents. And if, of course, we have a range, right? If it goes too far beyond the range, then there are times where we need to do a yellow flag or red flag. What's happening? How do we then re-explore that digital experience from organic to paid, driving them to a landing page, that whole attribution aspect, so that promise is met. It's not just about running the ads, because that's easy. It's that continuum, journey mapping, educating the customer, if you like, pushing them down the funnel to attribute that ROI.
Yeah, I think harder, hardest, right? I like that classification. I think the value of the ROI definitely increases as you get to the hardest, right? Things which are difficult to measure are probably the most valuable as well, right? So love that framework a little bit. Okay, I think we have a few more minutes before we take questions from audience. So this is gonna be much more quicker 3 questions, right? Like not rapid fire, but like much more quicker. So you and I will try and do it in like 4 minutes. So one thing with marketing, I think you have talked a lot about the role, and how it's kind of still very important. But one of the things I'm also seeing within LinkedIn is we have to collaborate better in such times, right? So collaboration with sales, collaborating with finance, right? So especially with sales, it's been like an ongoing story, marketing and sales alignment. So very quickly, do you want to tell how you're thinking about marketing sales alignment at Refinitiv, and how you're collaborating with the sales team?
Marketing is obviously in a unique position to enable and support sales. That's one of the key goals of why we're here, to support them through that client discovery and engagement process. But in order to do that, first of all, if you don't even know your firm's sales stages, in Salesforce, for example, or that client engagement methodology, please go find out, because when you speak, when you're in front of a sales director and you're just speaking some marketing jargon, it's going to fall flat. Find out that sales terminology which your sales teams are using. If you can't communicate using that language, these efforts aren't going to go very far. I'm involved over the last couple of years in terms of rolling out our social selling Sales Navigator program, which is not really related to the marketing solution side, but it's still a very interesting part of what we do. As very quickly as a starting point, ask questions to salespeople. Listen, because more often than not, they do have specific something that they already have in mind for a while, and they actually need somebody to do it, and usually it's marketing. So co-create content, something written or in a blog or a video. Help them with their LinkedIn profiles, or get help to, that may be with LinkedIn or an agency. Provide ready content for them to share, making them look good, giving them client conversational starters. This is in the realm of an employee advocacy program. Consider deploying more mature social selling approaches and tools such as LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And one metric which I found actually very unique to LinkedIn, if you have Navigator, if you can look at a certain key target account and you can understand how many of this target account is following your LinkedIn company page and who as well is following your company page. So very relevant for ABM efforts, very relevant for that account manager who is looking after that client and seeing actually these are the 25 or 2,000 that are following these accounts. And that means as your marketing teams share content on LinkedIn, inevitably, not everyone will see them, but inevitably that is being exposed organically to the messages, the brand, the colors, etc. Yeah. I
was warming up on your answer and I was like, we don't have time, but Absolutely. I think salespeople, I think if you can partner well and you can help them, I think my rule is always ask 3 questions. You won't get what they're looking for in the first answers. You have to ask 3 deep questions to get to those answers. Okay, last question, Kelvin, and I think then you can take some questions. Very quick do's and don'ts in such times on social media. Like what tips you would leave behind for the audience as do's and don'ts?
So do's, 3, 1, do be real, be authentic, be helpful, but get straight to the point. No coronavirus discounts, no we're here for you, no unprecedented, challenging times. Try not go with what everybody else is saying. Number 2, do walk the talk. Do show tangible examples. Do try and live the brand and do fewer things better and reevaluate the campaigns and programs that you may be thinking of. Thirdly, do tests. Do try new areas to innovate. And on the basis set benchmarks, scale, so that at the very least you understand how you perform versus last quarter or last year on year. These bigger numbers, business metrics that are viewable to senior management helps you to push through that budget requirements, etc. And then don'ts. Number 1, don't be a cliche. Don't add to the noise. Avoid marketing jargon, unnecessary marketing phrases. Don't isolate as well. Don't pigeon your team. Sometimes, let's say, social media as just a social media channel. More than ever, social media needs to work with your optimization team, plus your web team, plus your automation team, plus your GTM team, plus the comms team, plus customer service to have a tighter customer experience throughout. Last, don't just focus on the hard metrics. Focus on your people, the team. We talked about that early on during this chat. Don't forget the harder and hardest metric as well, right? The innovative aspects, the new areas such as videos, more live streams that you may be thinking of. Now is the time.
Love it. I think your first do is my favorite, and I've always talked about it before the pandemic, even in the pandemic. Always being authentic is the key, right? Authenticity is very, very important always, right? So thank you, Kelvin. This was a very interesting discussion. I could live the 30 minutes without saying unprecedented. So that's definitely a goal achieved. Apologies to the audience when I disappeared. Again, uncontrollable power cuts. So as soon as we started, there was a power cut, but now it's been good. So we are here at 30-minute mark. So Anushri, let's get some questions.
We had a lot of questions pouring in, Ashwin and Kelvin, so we've got some really good ones for you. I'll start with the first one. What are your advices regarding marketing where traditional, of course, is currently not applicable and online marketing is not as popular, so that we can communicate with customers that we may not be physically there but online present?
Could you repeat that question? I couldn't really hear the first part. Apologies.
Essentially, it's all about the fact that traditional marketing is not applicable anymore and online marketing is not as popular. So how can brands still go ahead and communicate with customers that they are not available physically, but online they are present?
Well, I'm hoping I'm hearing the question correctly, but it goes to what I described earlier. So if these target customers are online, find the right channels that they are more likely to be on. Clearly, if it's a more B2B audience, a platform like LinkedIn does a very good job. Other platforms like the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., does the job as well. But channels are just channels. That's launching a channel isn't going to get anywhere. The content and that journey on how customers know about you in terms of brand level and then middle of funnel in terms of engagement, and then eventually how they buy from you needs to be evaluated through using these social channels or digital channels in a relevant way possible. The one thing I also advise is rather than trying to have presence on many channels usually is one or two that makes 80–90% of the impact. So again, fewer things better. Focus on those channels that matter to you. We have seen some very good metrics, ROI, if you like, it maps to the heart, right, in terms of hand raisers and leads. If you haven't launched a paid social campaign on any social platform, including LinkedIn, you do want to try it, because of course it's not as easy as that, because we do have to think about assets, call to action, trackable links. But if you do it right, it allows you to target those high quality kind of users, customers that will allow you to prove the ROI of those leads and those hand raisers. So it's a very deep tactic that allows you to do that in a much more meaningful way. Hopefully that makes sense.
Very quick plug from me, Anushree, before we go to next. One thing is, if I heard the question well, is I think traditional channels are not available online. We are still getting there. I'll tell you, if you're thinking about B2B world, the amount of interest in the non-traditional players who are not online, or the decision makers or the customers, it's humongous. So very soon they will be online. So don't assume if you don't have the traditional channels, your reach will not be with your decision makers, with your customers, right? I think the pivot is happening very, very quickly, and I'm seeing that, and I think other players as well seeing that. So the customers are very quickly getting on the digital bandwagon. Some of the plans which were shelved for many years are now becoming very active, right? So don't assume anything. Be out there, use a dominant channel, use all other Kelvin's tip, do few things better, pick your favorite channels and be present there. But don't assume the customers are not online. They are. Trust me, and they're looking for your stuff or for your products and services.
If anything, the last three to 4 months, where 80–90% of the world, other than essential workers, have been working from home, we're all digital. Surely we're not going to be staring out of the window, just looking at trees all the time. Inherently, they may not be on that platform which you are on, but they are spending time on mobile phones. But which channels, what are they looking at? It's what you need to discover. It may not be your typical social networks. There are a lot of them, like Quora.com, others, Q&A, forums, blogs, which play increasingly influential role in how customers discover us, and I'm sure your brand as well.
Very, very apt answer. I have another question for Ashu. Ashu, what is the importance of brand building during times when budgets are being optimized? How do you justify when there was always a larger push towards performance marketing, even pre-COVID?
I know you chose the toughest one for me, but I think a very simplistic answer, if all the marketeers agree to this, and I think they will. So first of all, I think we have a job as marketing community to educate in such times, even internally, right? Like, you will be pushed to the corner saying, I want performance, I want ROI. But I am a firm believer, like, you cannot achieve everything at the lower funnel. You have to bring down people through the funnel, right? So education there is very, very important, right? Internally, we have tons of discussions about that as well, saying, let's just go to the lower funnel and acquire, because I want ROI. But it doesn't work that way, right? Yes, you can have a higher mix of performance, but you have to have some upper funnel budgets and marketing budgets, right? So the education is the key. A lot of times, we kind of rush into it, and we don't take that extra effort to educate internally with our management teams, right? So I've seen that. Forget this times. I've seen that in good times as well. Let's go to lower funnel and get some more money. But it doesn't work that way. And that's a role. That's a role all of us have to educate and to make sure that people understand that, it's not just about performance. Performance is important. We have to work to get ROI. I want to be the person who helps my company bring in more business, more cash. But we have to do it in the right way. Otherwise, whatever little money we are spending on performance will also go waste. So I think it's a simplistic answer. I can't give you like a mantra for it, but like the simplistic answer is take that extra time to educate people internally why upper funnel is important along with performance marketing.
While we are absolutely on time, if your calendar is free, we would love to have some more answers from you, and we could extend the webinar for another 10 more minutes. If people who have the time bandwidth would love to stay back, can do that. Does that work?
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Super.
Let's do it.
So I have another question. I hope it's not as tricky. Have you found that with more digital conversation traffic and more digital noise, that it is harder to get through to the messages to the clients?
I'm sorry, again, could you repeat that?
Have you found that with more digital conversational traffic and more digital noise, is it harder to cut through the messages to your audiences?
I would say no. I think most of us would think yes, because I think we tend to place the problems in front of the opportunity. I think the opportunity, if we dig back at what your company does, what Refinitiv does, one of the things that we have, it's literally on our tagline. It's called Data is Just the Beginning. So we're really doubling down on how we tell data stories, how we use data as central to how our clients, customers, users are thinking about data in their firms. And data is our umbrella term. We're thinking of data stories, data moments, data videos. So over the last 1 year or so, we start to see them pop up, right, in these lobbies, on digital, on social. And we tell data nuggets as well. We call it data moments, if you like, where every day, if you follow our social channels, maybe a soft plug actually, if you're interested to know more about Refinitiv, please follow Refinitiv on LinkedIn. You see daily kind of key headlines where we're showing you the data behind the data, the insights behind the data on why certain things are happening. We're not here to provide investment advice. That's not our job. And we don't do that because of regulatory and compliance reasons. But we're here to shed a bit of light on what happened overnight, whether or not S&P 500 has gone up or down, Tesla stock has gone up and down. There's so much slices of insight that we give. So that's our way of slicing through the noise, whereas every other competitor, every other bank are also looking to do the same thing. Then coupled with that, I mentioned it really quickly, there is a larger brand kind of theme or purpose that we need to not just talk the talk, but walk the talk, like tangible projects, initiatives that have senior management endorsing it, sponsoring it, to give the brand an overall clout, right? That may be the Refinitiv Forest project, that may be focused on ESG. So in tandem, that kind of works together on the bigger stories down to the smaller daily nugget stories. That's our formula, if you like, for now.
Can I provide a counter view? I think, yes, for me, it's getting difficult to get the message across, to cut the clutter. And I'm not talking about LinkedIn or Refinitiv. I'm just saying in general, we have to watch out as marketeers. And I will use Kelvin's phrase, get to the point. I see a lot of updates on my LinkedIn feed, which are either talking about same stuff, which is everywhere related to pandemic, or you're not telling me what you are offering and why I should read that post, right? So be insightful, be to the point, right? And I think cut to the clutter. A lot of industry news and the post on LinkedIn which says, okay, this is what I'm telling you about this industry, I will definitely open. But if you start with pandemic and corona and unprecedented, probably I won't, right? So get to the point, tell us what you are sharing, and definitely it'll take a little bit of effort to cut through the clutter.
Talking about getting to the point, Kelvin, is it possible for you to share some more specific examples on the kind of campaign and target setting and the results that you've achieved during this season?
I can't really get into details because that might be confidential data, but I'll just pick how we think about running a campaign typically on LinkedIn, right? So we tier it by budgets and length of time. clearly, if it's on a bid basis, $1,000 is gonna last you longer than $500. So we think about it in terms of maybe it's a 5 to 10K budget versus a 20 to 30K budget versus maybe a 40 to 50K. Then over time, we have got to better understand length of time versus type of content, type of call to action that best warrants that kind of tiering budget. So that's perhaps one specific advice or tactic that as you start to plan or maybe challenge the way that you do it today. Not everything is the same, and not everything is $5,000 worth or 10K, etc. That from then on, we really work with our LinkedIn team to think about optimizing the assets, call to action, using the segmented targeting, and that means relying on some of the pan-industry benchmarks, engagement rates, cost per click, CPM, and all of that, to just see how we're doing. And we're relentless on even getting better at the LinkedIn benchmark, because sometimes they may not be our aspirational benchmark. So over time, we start to have our own benchmarks, which are, if you like, more aggressive and higher than what we get, because we can't be using this benchmark and something else that doesn't compare when we share it higher up with our bosses. Over time, again, month on month, quarter by quarter, year on year, we get to an exact science almost on how much we spend relating to what assets we use to eventually a cost per lead, and eventually a lead flow that map into revenue. So beyond how we think about the campaign itself, the underlying technology needs to link up. And for us, I would say it was years in the making. It wasn't as easy as, everything was just done yesterday. There was partnerships that we did with the legal data privacy team, our compliance team, marketing automation team, and that on that needs to happen as well. So hopefully that answers your questions. And if specifically there's whoever asks this, reach out to me, and perhaps I'll be able to share with you a few more details on how we think about that with some of the data covered up.
We have enough time only for two quick questions. One is, again, Ashu, this is a difficult one that we received for you. How do you ensure that you still keep the marketing sales relevant without hard selling? And what methods work better? Not platforms, but what methods?
I think it's not that a hard question. It's a very simple question. I'll go back to a little bit of my past experience and pick answer from there. So I was living in New York during the last financial crisis, which is very different from this current pandemic. But one thing I remember in times of crisis is very, very important to support your sales and marketing and be compassionate with your clients, right? So I was a IC during that time, and I stayed very close to my clients, right? They won't probably buy at the same level as they are buying today, but very simple things, very simple outreaches, even sometimes very simple stuff like, hey, how are you doing, is a very, very effective way to stay close with clients. I'm a big believer that the relationships formed during such times last much longer, right? So I think that's my message to my sales and marketing teams, saying of course, we all are very, very objective, goal-oriented people and teams, but these are times where you need to stay closer to your clients and make sure that we are helping them in any ways we can. We can't solve all their problems, by the way. If my client has a cash flow situation, I can't solve it, but like definitely we can work together to make things better for that person, right? So my answer is going back in the past, like stay close to your clients, stay close to support your teams, and so that they can be much closer to the clients. That's my kind of mantra to live through this situation.
So the last question is a very broad one, and I think you've already covered it in your question and answer earlier. But just if we can have some more light on this. What do you think the marketing trend would be post the COVID situation, apart from digitization?
Crystal ball. When you take out a crystal ball, Kelvin. I think it's very difficult. I'll take a first stab at it, and then Kelvin, you can join. Like, it's very, very difficult. There are certain things, according to me, which are gonna last, whether we are in pandemic or not, right? So one thing, the digital adoption, which we have covered, like the physical events as well, will definitely, people will start reflecting on what's the value of those, how do we need so many of them? So I think some of the physical events part in the B2B industry specifically will have to be rethought a little bit, right? I think, you know, I think we have gone a little too far with performance probably during this times. The balance will come back once the things become normal, I think, between performance and brand. But again, like I always say, I don't have the crystal ball. So, but Kelvin, what does your crystal ball tell us?
Yeah, I'm super bullish, obviously, about social and digital. Networks will continue to grow. I'm sure LinkedIn will hit your maybe exceeded 800 million registered members. So look, the only way is up. We have experienced, we've all experienced this kind of only digital way of working internally, as well as with our clients and customers. But looking perhaps 3 to 5 years, I'm really bullish about things like augmented reality, virtual reality. In fact, I'm walking the talk this Saturday. I'm starting a VR development course with Unity 3D and things like that. And really learn about how these things work, because really that's the future of, to your point, should the kind of customer experience events will change. Of course, now it's still very early days. We complain about VR headsets and all, they're all a bit wonky, yes, but things will improve. Same like how mobile phones started with Motorola, the big brick thing, to now small little thing like that, or even foldable ones these days. Then a third one, which is more today, is video. On the platform, you've got live stream, the ability to upload video natively. If you've not been leveraging video like today, really have a much more consistent, brand compliant, scalable way of doing it, because it's moving beyond words and copy and the flat images to video, and not just video, live stream as well. In fact, if you look at what the likes of Amazon, Alibaba, etc., I've read a story on how they're deploying hundreds, thousands of live streamers / influencers to sell these products via live e-commerce. So that space is evolving so quickly. We see that happening today. It will start to creep into B2B selling in a few years' time.
That was a great one. I think we're good to wrap up now. We've exceeded slightly beyond our time. Thank you so much, Ashu and Kelvin, for all the insights and inspiration today. And thank you so much to our audience. You've been an amazing one. We will send you a recording of the webinar and answers to all your questions that weren't answered today over an email. And if you haven't still, please do take a moment to fill up the survey at the bottom of your screen. Thank you, and have a really great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. Gratitude. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you.